All right, ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the wait. I thought I'd be done right before 1:15, but time slipped away from me more than I thought it would. So, yes, apologies for the lateness. Hybrid, good to see you. It's time for yet another session of Sakamoto Days. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another Sakamoto Days read-through. Today, we are going to be going through volume 18 of the series titled Melee. Sometimes I be talking a whole bunch, and then I just keep talking and breathing in, but I don't exhale. Sometimes. Medela, it's good to see you as well. Let me get chat off to the side here so I can see you guys, and so I can focus on today's chapters. We're going to be going through chapters 152 all the way to 161, which means we are getting closer to me fully catching up to Sakamoto Days in general. So let me get chat over here. Sorry, I was doing a whole bunch before I got started, so please forgive me. Hyped for this one. Calzone! Oh, look at all these wonderful people here. It's good to see everyone. I hope you guys' day have been good. I know mine has. Had some leftover Meat Lovers pizza with some Wendy's fries and a zero sugar Dr. Pepper and cream soda. So needless to say, I'm doing good. Also, it looks like the light is just a little bit bright. Let me bring that down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So it's not too shiny, just in case I happen to get close. So last we left out on, we had an entire fight between Mafuyu and Miss Osaragi of the Order. And Miss Osaragi just kept bodying Mafuyu. Mafuyu is not even close to a level of a member of the Order, because the whole thing behind Mafuyu wanting to get into the Order is to make sure that he can get into the Order so that his brother wouldn't be sent to the orphanage. You know, the same place where Gaku, Kumanomi, Haruma, yes, I remember his name, all of the people that serve under Slur, that's where they got sent to. And it seems like this taboo place that parents don't want to send their children, especially assassin parents. But Mafuyu has been gunning in order to get into the Order, in order to make it so that his dad wouldn't take his brother Natsuki over there. And Natsuki has been doing everything he can to ensure that he's able to get him and his brother away from their father, including the whole reason why he made an invisibility suit, so that both he and his little brother Mafuyu can hide from their father forever, so that their dad can't do anything else to them. So that whole fight goes on. Miss Osaragi just bodies him. Then we have the thing is, Slur's group is now attacking people. It's now attacking members of the Order. So we just had Osaragi versus Mafuyu, but she kind of got, spooked at the end because since Natsuki can turn invisible, she pretty much saw him as like an actual ghost. And she was just left standing there kind of, I wouldn't say cowering, but kind of intimidated by the ghost, because despite her beyond human strength, she still behaves very much human in a lot of situations. So we got Osaragi. She's by herself currently. We got Kumanomi and Haruma versus Mr. Shishiba. And currently, we have Nagumo versus Gaku. And Gaku was able to hold his own against Nagumo. And he was able to even crack Nagumo's Swiss Army weapon. I don't even know what you call it. He was able to crack that, but not break it entirely. And Nagumo ends the last chapter we read through with him basically stabbing Gaku with this invisible blade, much to Gaku's surprise. So let's go ahead and get started with chapter 151. Actually, no, not chapter 151, it's 152. Sorry, I was looking at the last page to make sure I saw the right thing. But yeah, Nagumo stabs Gaku straight through the chest with an invisible blade, saying, "The key to killing is deception." So let's get started with chapters 152. Days 152, speed run. An invisible blade? Sorry, I don't think I could beat you in a fist fight, so I cheated a little. Sorry, my tongue kind of went like when I said I cheated a little. Trouble is, it only works once, since it gets soiled with blood. Transparent glass? No, it's ceramic.
Now that I've gotten a better look, it's not totally invisible. He distracted me with all those flashy transformation tricks. This guy is a tricky one.
Oh, wait, I forgot. I forgot to put the link to the chapter in the description of the stream. My apologies, everyone. I forgot to do that. Wait, did I do that? Oh, no, I did not. Okay, there we go. There. It's in the link of the description if you guys want to see what I'm reading or wherever you're reading Sakamoto Days from to follow along.
This guy is a tricky one.
But now Gaku, his wound is bleeding now, and it's bubbling because of the blood that's pouring out of him. He won't last long if you don't get that wound treated.
Nah, I'm good. So that old dude with the katana wasn't the only one.
Giving up? You don't seem like the type.
So that old dude with the katana wasn't the only one who's worth a bit of fun. I get more fired up when there's a time limit. Now we're entering the killing speed run.
And in Gaku's mind, this is him literally hitting continue instead of ending. Like if you got beaten in what was it? What do you call that mode? What do you call that mode in Kingdom Hearts? Critical? I think it's critical mode. Like critical difficulty. He just hits continue instead of end. And then Nagumo's looking until he instantly gets blitzed by Gaku and sent flying across the museum into a car. Just straight through the door into the car. And he's kind of implanted in the car with his back kind of breaking the glass in the window behind him. And he's just coughing and he looks up. And while he's looking in a direction where he was thrown from, Gaku comes bursting into the roof itself, directly in the back seat of the car. And Nagumo kind of hunkers behind the passenger seat and immediately starts to try and stab Gaku through the chair, even through the little space in between the headrests. You know, the one where you press the button and you can raise it up and down. If you were a kid, you were probably... I know I wasn't the only one when you were a kid. You was in the back seat of the car and you decided, I wonder what happens if I press this button and I pull the headset all the way off. And you're all like, oh, I took it off. And then you put it back in and they're like, oh, I'm safe. Yeah, he's just stabbing him through the entire passenger seat. And then Gaku takes his big old staff weapon, turns it behind him in the back seat, and then blasts a hole. He just blasts a hole into the car, which also propels it forward, causing the car to launch off of the 4th floor of this. How big is this museum? It's got 4 floors. This is literally the size of a shopping mall. This is a museum? They launch off of the guardrail of the 4th floor, and they're just flying through the air currently at the moment. Gaku towards Nagumo, and Nagumo's looking at him. But before Nagumo can do anything, Gaku slams his staff directly onto his chest, and in the process, breaks that trick weapon that Nagumo has been using this entire time. He just destroys it. And then it just shows a point of impact where Nagumo has been slammed into the ground, and then Nagumo grabs what remains of his trick weapon, and he's holding it in his hands. And he looks up, and Gaku is directly in front of him, and Nagumo goes and attacks him at the same time. Gaku is... I knew there was a string. Where did this... That's not even a string. That's hair. Where? Okay. I had a feeling I knew there was something on my arm, and it was messing with me. It was distracting me. But both Nagumo and Gaku go in to stab each other. Oh god, childhood memories. I figured I wasn't the only one who did that. I figured I wasn't the only one. But Nagumo and Gaku go in to attack each other, and they both hit each other with grazing blows. And they're just looking at each other. Now we cut to the 2nd floor lobby. Because remember, Sakamoto is with Toromaru. Because Toromaru's being hunted down because she's been seen as an accomplice with Slur. And Sakamoto came in near the end of the last volume and saved her instantly. Second floor lobby.
Hey, what were those noises? Slur and his gang must be here. What? What'll I do? This is awkward. I don't see any JAM members. What's going on?
I think this might be Sakamoto going, I don't see any JAA members. What's going on?
Mr. Sakamoto!
Oh, nice. So we get Natsuki, Mafuyu, Shin, and Kaji. They all meet up with Sakamoto, so the whole crew's all together now. Shin.
Oh, good. You're okay.
Sorry I'm late. Where's Amane?
We got separated.
Right, Amane's not with them. Oh, I forgot Amane's not with them. I incorrectly thought that it was Heisuke who was with them when I was going through the chapters, but no, it's Amane.
We got separated.
Got it. Tell me what's going on.
It seems Slur and his gang infiltrated the exhibit by helicopter. The Mafuyu suicide bombing attempt was only a diversion.
With all the enemies on site, the JAA's priority will be to eliminate them. There's a lot of potential for collateral damage.
Seba, you open the entrances and evacuate the bystanders in Mafuyu.
Will do. What about you guys? You should come with us. We'll hold back the enemy until you get everyone out.
Okay, don't get too crazy.
And then we cut to Sakamoto and Shin just running off, as the plan is in effect.
According to Mafuyu, including X, there are 5 senior leaders, and all of them are experienced fighters.
The Order has probably taken out a few by now. I know the Order's skill level. It would take a lot for them to lose a fight.
Sure. Well, and then there's you, Mr. Sakamoto.
And Sakamoto jolts. And then Shin's looking at him.
What's up, Mr.
And yo, he stopped because he sees Nagumo. And Nagumo is laying up slumped against the wall, stabbed by his own weapons in numerous parts of his body. That same part of his trick weapon that he held in order to, still try and go up against Gaku, that's stabbed in him right now. He's just laying slumped up against the wall. Blood everywhere, stabbed and impaled multiple times. And Sakamoto sees this. Nagumo? And Gaku is walking. Yo! And it just shows Gaku walking away. Blood splattered on his shoes, leaving footprints behind. And while he's walking, someone speaks to him. It's rare to see you this beat up. And it's X, and he's looking at a painting. Can you still fight, Gaku? And Gaku's just looking at him. Did we just lose Nagumo? Sakamoto just said, I know the Order's skill level. And we just see Nagumo apparently dead. That's the end of chapter 152. Okay. Okay. Days 153. What it takes to kill. Impressive, Gaku. You killed Nagumo. He was one of the Order's top 2 fighters. I never liked him, ever since we were students. Thanks for getting him out of the way. Yeah, he was pretty tough. And X kind of looks back at him. I'm surprised. You rarely acknowledge an enemy's strength. Huh? Whatever. I'm just not interested in games I've already beaten. We haven't beaten this game yet. The final boss still lies ahead. And it shows them traveling down. Are they making their way to where Asaki is? Because you know that secluded area where the private collection stuff? What if this is where they're going? Okay, moving on from that. And we have Shin there with Nagumo, and they're inspecting his body. They got his jacket off, but somehow didn't get the blades out of his body, but they got his jacket off.
I can't believe they did this to Nagumo.
It's barely there.
but he still has a pulse.
Nagamo's still alive! But it's very faint. He's still alive, but it's very faint. And Sakamoto takes a pen. His trademark pen.
Mr. Sakamoto? What are you?
And he takes the pen, he literally just snaps the pen from the top, like breaks it from the top with his thumb, and just stabs it directly into Nagamo's chest.
Thoracic drain. The blood in his chest needs to drain out. Shin, secure Nagamo's airway without removing the blade and fix it with fabric so it stays in place. I'll massage his heart.
Right.
Wow, they're doing first. We're doing first aid with Nagamo right now.
He's not going to make it.
And Sakamoto is still, still making sure he's pumping Nagamo's heart to keep it going.
Are you gonna die too, Nagamo? Why?
As he sees a whole group of people, like he envisions this whole group of people, and we see Satora Sensei, Rion, and Hio.
Why am I still alive?
And then we get something rolling in. Oh, it's Kashima. Oh, it's Kashima. Sorry, the perspective made it seem like Kashima just grew to an enormous size, but that's literally him just sliding in through two different panels, so the perspective got me.
What are you doing, Sakamoto?
Kashima?
I saw Master X and his gang invading the museum on TV. What's going on? Where's Master X?
How'd you get in here?
Seba opened the doors. Kashima, give us a hand. We need to save him. It's beyond my power. Isn't he an Order member? Why should I help? Our interests momentarily aligned. That doesn't make me your friend.
What would Nagamo do at a time like this?
And then Shin goes,
He's right. We're asking too much. Let's figure it out on our own, Mr. Sakamoto. It was dumb of us to think we were friends.
And then Kashima starts, I guess, momentarily sweating through his mask?
I guess I could help out a little. Oh, for Pete's sake, this wound dressing is a mess.
Thanks.
And Kashima is just, I guess he takes care of Nagamo.
So, will he be okay?
He's suffered terrible wounds and lost a lot of blood. I brought my newest life-saving device, but it's never been tested, so I can't be sure.
And then Kashima looks at Nagamo's arm and notices that amongst all the tattoos, there's a distinct stitching going across his whole entire, around the circumference of his arm.
This scar.
And then we cut to deepest level of the museum, special collection area. This is where Asaki, the curator, and the other guy, Muto guy, is. This place is a real snore, too. I'm sick of looking at art.
I'm terribly sorry. That's a very valuable piece. Please don't touch it with your bare hands.
And then Muto's in the background.
Gah, what's taking X in his gang so long? Do I even need to wait for X if I just kill the chairman myself? Plus, it's chaos upstairs. Nobody's monitoring the cameras.
By the way, Muto, when are your friends coming? He knows! Yo! That is scary. That has got to be a scary feeling when you're trying to lure someone somewhere and you're waiting for someone and the person you're luring just nonchalantly says, "So, when are your friends coming by?" Ah! That's scary. When are your friends coming?
He knows! He knows I'm a spy! How? Where did I screw up? I'm dead meat!
Your strides are short and you've been blinking a lot, both signs of stress. They're also typical indicators of fear. Someone ordered you to isolate me, didn't they? And as Asaki says this, Gaku and X are in the room as well. Brother and brother meet face to face once again. Asaki and Uzuki back together again.
Okay, well, this is a surprise. What are you doing here? So, you guys were behind all the commotion upstairs? I'm here to kill you, Asaki. Time to put an end to the suffering you've caused since Alkamar.
But first, don't you have something to say to me? Did you ever consider how much worry you've caused me disappearing like that?
Asaki, everything about you is despicable.
Yo, they put a bomb in Muto because X presses a trigger and Muto's face starts swelling up. It starts swelling up. His eyes start getting veiny, going, this isn't. And then Muto blows up right next to Asaki. He blows up right next to Asaki. And then we just cut back upstairs.
Hey, Kashima, what's wrong?
And then it shows Nagumo's body and all the numerous tattoos he has all over his body. And then the tattoos on Nagumo's body start disappearing.
Huh? The tattoos are disappearing? What? Kashima, stop the resuscitation!
And when that happens, Nagumo's eyes open, but they're completely whited over. And then Nagumo's body just kind of lurches up from the ground. And Nagumo's hair turns completely white, and he's laying there with blood coming out of his nose and mouth, laying in even more blood underneath him. He's just laying there. Tattoos are gone, but he has scars all over his body. Huh? Yeah, his eyes are still open, but they're completely white. His hair is now white, and he's laying there. All of his tattoos are just gone now. And then we just cut back to the aftermath of Muto exploding, and Asaki is just completely fine. And he's just standing there kind of smiling amidst what remains of Muto.
What? He's fine? How?
It's not surprising. I didn't expect him to be that easy to kill. Gaku. Yeah.
And then all of it... Oh my goodness! That's not Nagumo on the ground. Oh! That's not Nagumo! Because as soon as X says Gaku,
Yeah.
there's a rush, and it's actually Nagumo who stabs Uzuki because the body that's on the ground is Gaku's! Nagumo beat him and then made it look like it was Gaku's body. It made it look like it was his own body. Wow! I was wondering, what's going on here? What's going on? That's the reason why Kajima said this scar, because he recognizes it as the same scar that old man Takamura gave Gaku when they fought, when he sliced off his arm. It was Gaku the entire time. That's the reason why Shin said stop the resuscitation, because it's not Nagumo, it's Gaku! Oh my goodness, Nagumo got us with the bait and switch again. Man, this dude's a master at deception. But it shows in the final panels of this chapter, it shows Nagumo stabbing straight through Uzuki.
Nagumo is still alive.
Nagumo's alive. That's the end of the chapter. Oh my goodness, Nagumo! Unbelievable! That's the end of chapter 153. Onwards to chapter 154, Maniacs. Everyone's position in the museum. And it shows Miss Osaragi and Amane are unaccounted for. There's no one on the fourth floor. Carolina Reaper is on the third floor. Shishiba versus Kumanomi and Haruma are on the second floor, with Kashima, and apparently a dead Gaku, along with Sakamoto and Shin on the first floor. And then in basement 4, we have Nagumo versus Uzuki, while Asaki just watches. And then it shows again, Nagumo stabbing straight through Uzuki. And then he just rips the sword out. Bro, Nagumo scares me. And Asaki's just watching.
Where's Gaku?
I killed him. And then while X is holding his chest after being stabbed through, because he just got stabbed straight through the back.
How could you?
What's going on? I stabbed him through the heart. Why isn't he dead? And then it just shows X standing there. Then we cut back to Gaku, whose, I guess, lifeless body is now laying there in front of everyone.
It's that guy. Gaku, one of X's associates.
So Nagumo faked his own death. Hey, you butthead deer. You figured out he wasn't Nagumo while you were treating him, didn't you?
Shin, lay off.
And Kashima's just looking there going, I want to save my pals just like you. Who are you to give me crap about it?
Ugh, you have a point. But this is dangerous. If he wakes up here...
Gaku's not waking up any time today. It's a miracle he's alive with those injuries.
And then Sakamoto is looking in one direction thinking,
so where's Nagumo now?
And then it shows a crack in a wall, and then we get someone getting flung through the air.
Oh, it's Shishiba.
And it's Mr. Shishiba. So the fight continues with Haruma and Kumanomi. So now we get to see what goes on with Shishiba and them. And Shishiba's looking at Sakamoto.
Hey, it's Sakamoto. Long time no see. What are you doing here?
Watch out. And it cuts to a piece of debris coming in right towards Shishiba's head, but Shin intercepts it and just punches it away.
Thanks.
Yo, is this guy in the order too?
We'll talk later. Who are they?
Oh, there are guests.
And it shows Kumanomi and Haruma walking out towards the hole that they made with Shishiba's body.
Hey, who caught my serve? Nice moves.
Haruma, give it a rest. I'll handle things here. You go help Kei and Gaku. I'm worried.
And her eyes start to widen as she sees Gaku behind Shin and Sakamoto, laying in blood and bruised and beaten and unconscious.
Gaku? Did you do this? Ah, that woman must be the magnet wielder Heisuke mentioned. Mr. Sakamoto, let's back off and regroup. Hey! I asked you a question!
And Kumanomi is getting upset as she's drawing more metal towards her. Cause she's about to use that same nail move that she used to take out Hio with. And she's preparing it, screaming, and all of a sudden that same arrow goes shooting forward like a bullet. But before it gets close to Sakamoto and company, Shishiba just twirls his hammer in hand and he just knocks it away. But because of that, his hammer has become heavily chipped and damaged. And then Shin hasn't even moved from where he was standing, and Kumanomi is already directly behind him.
Gaku, you poor thing. Those bullies. If only I had been here. I'm so sorry. That hurt, didn't it? Hang in there, buddy. It's gonna be okay. When we get home, we'll play all your favorite video games.
And Kumanomi is saying this while she's holding his face, bawling, crying. And Gaku is just unconscious. And both Sakamoto, Shin, and Shishiba are kind of shuddering over how she's behaving right now.
No, I can't get all soft like in the old days. Gotta pull it together.
Mr. Sakamoto, I don't care what you're doing here right now, but X is on the ground in the special collection area. I'll handle these guys. Lend me the kid.
Sure. Huh? And Sakamoto just takes off so he can go to the basement while Shishiba is being aided by Shin.
What's your name?
Shin.
Years of experience?
I've been a JAA subcontractor for around 7 years.
Wait, I meant at this level.
None.
For real?
And then it shows Haruma, who's getting on his hands and knees like he's about to do like a full-on track sprint. And he jumps he's still up on the upper floor. He's still up on the 3rd floor, and he jumps and he automatically launches towards Shishiba. No. He jumps and he lands where Shishiba is rushing to intercept him. But then Haruma, with his inhuman strength, touches the ground and immediately launches in the air before Shishiba can actually hit him. And then Haruma takes something out of his back pocket, and it's a handheld javelin. He just clicks a stick, and then it extends. You're not going anywhere. As he's aiming for Sakamoto.
Where's he looking?
And as Haruma is preparing to throw the javelin towards Sakamoto, it gets caught by Shin, who just intercepts it and just grabs it and then crushes it in his hand. Ooh! I feel like this is gonna be a fire volume! And this surprises Shishiba.
You're not touching Mr. Sakamoto.
Well, your manners, kid. Is that how you greet your elders?
And Haruma's just saying that, still with his eyes closed, as Sakamoto's still making his way downstairs. And that's the end of chapter 154! Ooh, okay. Okay. I see you, chapter. I see you. Days 155. Melee. Hey, it's the name of the volume. And it shows Haruma. It shows Shin. Sakamoto still running.
Don't die, Shin. It'll be alright. After all, he has ESP.
Gah! I can't use my ESP!
Shin's ESP isn't working because of the bomb. And Haruma takes a hunk of rubble and goes,
Now, where's that bravado from before?
And like a discus throw, he just tosses this rubble towards Shin, who just barely manages to dodge.
That's the spirit.
And he goes and he just keeps launching rubble towards Shishiba and Shin.
Uh-oh.
But before Shin can get hit, Shishiba comes in and grabs him.
What's wrong? Why are you moving so slowly? You hurt or something?
No, I'm fine. Thanks.
And Shin is just thinking,
I'm a burden.
Then we get a hand holding a nail and electricity just crackling in hand. And it's Kumanomi, and Shishiba blocks another nail shot from Kuma.
Tch, what a glutton for attention.
And Kumanomi is getting ready to shoot at him again.
Well, we won't get anywhere just running. I'm going in. Cover me.
And while that's happening, Kumanomi goes launching towards Shishiba with a whole multitude of sharp metal right next to her.
The magnet. Heads up!
It'll be okay. I've gotten stronger. I don't have to rely on my ESP.
And as he says this, he immediately gets clocked by a piece of metal that just hits him directly in the head, and he gets knocked back. He just,
I don't need to rely on my ESP.
just immediately gets hit by a piece of metal. And Shishiba's kind of looking back at him, and he's thinking,
Osaragi, you're always spacing out and nobody knows what you're thinking. You're constantly hungry. You're rude. At first, I was annoyed that I had to work with you. But actually, you're super capable. Where are you right now?
Osaragi's hiding in the bathroom because she saw a ghost. Well, so much for Osaragi helping out. She really was affected by Natsuki disappearing. She doesn't want to go anywhere because there's a ghost. If she knew anything about ghosts, she'd know that they can go through walls. So she probably wouldn't be hiding in there. Sorry, weird tangent, but yeah, she's hiding in the bathroom because of a ghost.
Let's take it up a notch.
And he grabs like a little... He grabs like one of those same shot puts that he uses to basically just dismember people instantly. And he steps on like a please move up here or step here.
How do I deal with this?
And he goes in the air preparing to use this shot put, and he goes,
Line! You stepped on the line!
And Haruma actually opens an eye for the first time. And he flinches as soon as Shin says this. And that makes his aim go off.
You made me miss.
He made a miss on purpose.
Darn it. I screwed up. I stepped on the line and messed up my serve. Twisted my ankle.
And while that happens, it shows Haruma inches away from the claw end of Shishiba's hammer, and Shishiba just proceeds to just swan him away all the way to the other side of the room.
Nice work.
And he just lightly taps Shin on the head with the hammer. Not harmfully, but just go like, doot.
Nice work.
Good thing I watched the FIFA World Cup with Heisuke.
FIFA? Yeah, we can't have actual names of things, so we gotta have extra words. Instead of it being FIFA, it is now FIFA.
Good thing I watched the FIFA World Cup with Heisuke. Haruma, quit mixing skills. Quit mixing kills with sports. You're stronger when you fight normally.
I've seen you somewhere before.
Huh?
Where'd you grow up as a kid?
Where?
And as soon as Shin says this, Carolina Reaper just lands right behind him.
Found you. I'll get you back for what you did to my little brother, Club Jam!
And his Carolina Reaper's mouth just fills with fire, and he just breathes it in the middle of the area. And Shin gets tossed aside.
Another guy!
And Carolina Reaper is right in front of Shin. But before Carolina Reaper can do anything, Amane, with the hidden save, comes in, flips over Carolina Reaper, and slashes him in the back. Yo, Amane! Much to Reaper's surprise.
It's just one after another.
Nice. This is getting to be more like a match. Let's line up.
Amane!
Sorry to keep you waiting. And that's the end of chapter 155. Onwards to chapter 156. Days 156, Sportsman. And it's also showing him slashing through the back of Carolina Reaper again. You know how it does with manga.
Amane!
Then Carolina Reaper, Kuma, and then Haruma.
Where the heck have you been?
Sorry.
So, you're finally showing yourself. You tailed me through the whole exhibition. What's your deal?
And then he's getting a good look at Amane, and he realizes,
wait, you're Yotsumuras.
You know each other?
What are you doing here? That hurt, you little punk. I'll pound you to smithereens. This is perfect. We can play 3-on-3.
Enough! We didn't come here to fool around. while we're wasting time Kei's suffering on his own.
And then Haruma gets silent.
I don't want to leave him alone anymore. I want to hurry up and join him.
And she says this with tears in her eyes once again.
We'll talk later. Here it comes. Ah, you're right. Sorry.
And then it shows Kumanomi as her hand is just raised above her. And then she, yo, Killer Bean, good to see you. And then she just moves her arm in a throwing motion, and it just shows, and it's this really big, angled, wide shot of her just bringing her hand down while there's an enormous wall behind her. And she called in a whole crane truck! She pulled a whole crane. Now, see, right here, and I'm glad you brought this up, Medela. I'm glad you brought this up again. The art in this series is so well detailed. Even the small infractions of the wall where this truck has just been thrown to, like, this is such good detail. Like, the individual parts of a crane truck can be seen on the crane itself, from the cord to the parts that link up the cord, to the part that can extend outwards. This is such a well-detailed shot of her literally pulling a whole giant crane truck through a wall! How strong is that mechanical arm of hers? If it can pull entire trucks easily? Fight between Magneto and Kumanomi. We already know it's going to be Magneto, but that is so cool, okay? This is such a wonderful shot, though. Chapter 156. I gotta remember this. This is a good shot. This is such a good shot. She pulls in a whole crane truck and sends it flying into the museum.
A crane truck?
This is ridiculous.
And before Shin can even say this is ridiculous, she waves her hand and causes the crane truck to move in such a way where the crane itself will swing around the room. And mind you, the hook part of the crane truck is still metallic as well. And then Amane jumps right into the arms of Carolina Reaper.
Yo, kiddo, I owe you something, you little brat.
And it looks like, and while that's happening, Carolina Reaper is also ripping off a piece of the railing while he's got Amane in like a headlock.
Amane!
And while both Shin and Shishiba are looking away, Shishiba's looking, and Kumanomi uses her electromagnetism to take the neck of the crane and slam Shishiba with it, sending him flying off of the 3rd floor.
You're gonna die here.
You think you're really something, don't you?
And while Shin's looking back, we get Hanuma, who's just like, scratching his head and going,
Alrighty. A fight to the death is the greatest sport.
And he's just cracking his fingers. This dude must have been reading some Tokyo Ghoul to be cracking his fingers like this.
I'm clearly not on this level. Now what?
Let's have a nice proper fight. Sportsmanship, you know.
Come on, ESP, come back! Come back!
And he's rubbing his head as if he's just going to instant transmission his ESP back into his head again.
First, gotta warm up the shoulder.
And when he does this, I think he throws another piece of rubble, and it impacts on a wall to the point where it caves in the wall, where Shin is supposed to be. But Shin has dodged out of the way. And when he skids to the ground, he tries to go for Haruma's face and kick him, but Hanuma easily dodges underneath the leg.
You like soccer? How about a penalty kick contest?
And he just casually bounces a piece of rubble. No, I do not want to connect to another TV in the house. He just bounces a piece of rubble off of his chest and then proceeds to kick it directly into Shin.
Ah! It's no use. There's no way I can beat him in direct combat. I gotta get out of here.
Hey, not bad, kid.
How can I track his movements without my ESP?
Come to think of it, his attacks are all related to some kind of sports move. Like when he went for the volleyball spike, he was careful not to step on the line. When he went for the soccer kick, he was careful not to use his hands. In the discus throw, he only threw within a 35-degree angle. I see. If I can tell which sport he's playing, I can read his movements to some degree.
And then Haruma just picks up another piece of rubble. And he's getting into another sports position.
That's handball, probably.
And Haruma starts moving.
Which means... Not yet. At the 6-meter line from the goal. He'll jump!
And when Haruma predictably jumps, Shin immediately throws a piece of rubble at him to intercept him, which works.
What a jerk. That was a foul.
And when Haruma lands, Shin is right next to him.
Now!
And he manages to hit Haruma and send him flying in another direction. And he did this without ESP. Bro, Shin is growing. But yeah, he launches Haruma to the other side of the room with one punch.
It's working! There are no rules when it comes to killing.
And that's the end of chapter 156. Onwards to chapter 157. I'm so happy right now. This is such a good chapter. Days 157. Sportsmanship. And we get to the aftermath of Shin knocking away Haruma.
There's no rules when it comes to killing. Even though I'm not an assassin anymore.
And Haruma gets up.
You say that because you don't understand.
What?
I'll teach you now, so listen close, first year.
First year?
The reason I care about sports is because if I just killed people, it would be unfair.
Unfair?
Take you and me, for example. Physical build, athleticism, talent for killing, charisma. The gap is too huge in so many ways. I don't feel good about one-sided slaughter. People have always called me weird, but it's my style to fight fairly, within the rules of sports.
What's this nutjob ranting about?
So you see, what I'm saying is, let's have a good death match.
And he just rips the stone head off of a statue, just off of an exhibit. He just rips the stone head off of a statue. And then he drops it in front of him and immediately goes in for a kick.
Straight into penalty kicks? I can just barely evade that trajectory.
Watch out, hero! Come here!
Huh? Civilians who didn't evacuate?
And it's a mother and child who are there.
Stop this, goalkeeper.
Huh?
And Shin scoffs, and then he goes in to intercept intercepts the ball. And it's just, and the spin that Haruma put on it is grinding against Shin's fingers. If it was a normal person, that skin would have just been completely rubbed off at that level.
I can't stop it!
And it manages to deflect. He manages to kind of deflect it away from Shin and away from the civilians.
That jerk, risking the lives of innocent bystanders. I can't get caught up in his games. I've got to turn this around somehow.
And Shin's fingers are still smoking from the burn.
Let's keep going. Let's keep it going.
And he takes another stat. I was wondering what was happening here because he had his arm raised, and I was wondering which hand he was using because my brain couldn't tell that it was the right hand. He lifts his right hand up, and then he just jabs his fingers directly into, first of all, solid stone, and just jabbing his fingers directly into the stone head of the statue, and he's gonna bowl. This is death bowling. I'm pretty sure there's a video game of it someplace on Steam. I'm pretty sure there's a video game called Death Bowling.
Haven't been bowling in a while.
I'm the pin?
and he just bowls with his head.
Huh. Ha! Looks like a gutter ball!
And while he says that, because it looks like Shin is going to be able to dodge it, Haruma actually... What is it with people curving bullets and projectiles? How? He rolled in one direction, and then somehow the stone head he was bowling with is aerodynamic enough to go spiraling in the air, and it hits Shin and sends him flying. Ah! In a field, in a room full of statues with a sign that says "Do not touch," and he's already been knocked through several of them.
From the position of the ball and the shape of the field, this is American football.
And he cracks his fingers as Haruma is directly underneath Shin while he's still airborne.
No. I've got to break off. I gotta break loose of his sports.
And when Shin is upside down, Haruma grabs him and goes,
touchdown.
And like a football player would do, like spike the football into the end zone, he spikes Shin directly into the floor and caves in the floor. This is equivalent to the Raikage going Liger Bomb and just driving Sasuke through the ground. That's exactly what Haruma just did to Shin.
Touchdown.
Breaks the floor. And Shin is still airborne.
Just to be sure.
And then he proceeds to just volleyball spike Shin again while he's still airborne, sending him crashing outside, causing him to almost momentarily skip across a pool and into the water outside. There's a pool outside. Well, not really a pool, but like a little fountain.
I'm not strong enough to beat him now. But...
that was a nice warm-up.
Mr. Sakamoto said he was counting on me. Whatever it takes. What can I do?
And then, while Haruma's walking away, Shin notices something glint underneath a piece of rubble.
Hey, we're not done.
Wow, you've got some determination, kid. But it's time for the mercy rule. The gap in the score is too large. There's no chance of an even match if we battle now.
Don't make me laugh. You call this fair?
And Hanuma's looking as Shin continues.
The way you play, endangering innocent bystanders, is the worst rule violation of all.
You're accusing me of foul play?
Fine. Let's play.
What?
Sumo!
And then Shin gets in like a sumo position. And then Haruma opens both of his eyes, but he just glints. He just kind of squints at him like, where you can barely see his eyes.
Bring it on. I'll beat you in your own ring!
And that's the end of chapter 157. Woo! That was a really good chapter. I like that one. Hold on, let me double check. 9 people watching. Hello, everyone. If you guys want a link to what I'm reading, it is right in the description below. We are currently on chapters 158 of Sakamoto Days, and this volume is really good. Chapter 158, Days 158, Super Sumo.
Let's settle this with a sumo match.
Is sumo wrestling a sport or martial art? More importantly,
scam calls.
Is sumo wrestling a sport or martial art? More importantly, his body should be at its limit. That thing probably enhances his physical strength beyond what he can handle, but he might only have 1 or 2 charges left. However, he still hasn't given up on this fight.
His eyes look just like those of a first-rate athlete's.
I'm taking a gamble. If I keep fighting like this, I'll have no chance of beating this guy. Sumo's the only way for me to instantly slam him with all of my remaining power. No idea if it's considered a sport or not. Now it's just a matter of whether this plan will work.
And the clock outside is ticking. And then Hanuma speaks.
Let me ask you something. Why are you fighting so hard and risking your life?
And Shin's standing there, and then he just remembers Sakamoto running past him when he caught the javelin that was meant to kill him.
Someone I admire trusted me to have their back. That's the only reason I need to fight.
So be it. I accept your challenge in the spirit of lethal sportsmanship. However,
And Hanuma turns. Wait, what? As he turns, there's an explosion from like another window from Shin's left. And then all of a sudden, something peppers around the ring. And it's a whole bunch of spiked weapons that have somehow been embedded in the ground all around. So this has to be Kumanomi. This has to be Kumanomi who just shot all this stuff outside for Haruma. And he's just surrounded by swords and blades all around the ring.
allow me to add a rule. Whoever gets pushed out dies.
Fine with me. Let's just get started already.
I see you're prepared. But what are you planning?
And that's something he's thinking internally.
But what are you planning?
And it just shows Haruma's face and then Shin's face.
Hakeyoi. Hakeyoi. Hakeyoi.
Sumo shout meant to raise one's spirit when a match is deadlocked. And when Haruma is preparing to move into the ring, because he's already in the middle of the ring, he's right there preparing to tackle Shin. But then all of a sudden, the sprinklers, like the sprays for the fountain, they suddenly immediately erupt right underneath Haruma to his surprise.
Fountains?
Oh! The thing that was glinting underneath the rubble was a liquid hydrogen bomb from Natsuki. The plan was to lure him in there so Haruma would be surrounded in water, and the liquid nitrogen could act faster because of the water. And just freeze Haruma over completely.
Fountains?
And Shin has the grenade in his hand. And then it cuts to a flashback of him seeing the grenade underneath that rubble.
That's Seba's. Sheesh, that guy is always saving my butt.
And then it shows it shows the grenade directly in front of Haruma, and it explodes, and it immediately flash freezes the water that's splashing on him.
The fountains are being frozen. He was hiding a weapon like this.
And Shin is just rushing towards Haruma.
But your strike still won't work on me.
And then Shin puts something in his ears.
Earplugs? Oh, he's going to.
And then Shin, with all of his strength, claps his hands. And the force of that bursts Haruma's eardrums. I just talked about how much more lethal it'll be to either have like a pain in your ears. I don't think it was a Sakamoto stream that I was talking about this on. It could have been, I can't remember. But someone was talking to me like if you had to choose between like pain inside of your ears or in your head or another type of pain, which would you? Oh, I think it was getting burned on the arm. Or it was the Sakamoto stream. It was the last week's one where I think it was Hybrid who asked me, would you rather get burned on the arm or have your ears busted? Because that's what happened between Nagumo and Gaku. And now we have this moment here where I rather get burned on the arm because at least that can heal up. But Now, Haruma is suffering the reverse option, where his ears have basically just been burst from this Hulk thunderclap.
But an attack from inside will work, right? Oh, guess you can't hear me anymore.
And it shows Haruma starting to, like, kind of topple over because, you know, it's one thing to be protected from wounds on the outside, but internal stuff, you can train all day and you still won't be able to train your organs to be resistant to blunt force trauma. That'll never happen. But he starts teetering a little bit.
He wasn't trying to make me deaf. He wanted to affect my balance.
Because if you mess with the head, especially the ears, your equilibrium will just be thrown straight off.
I used up one charge with that clap. This'll probably be my final attack.
And Shin goes to punch Haruma, and there's like a big old impact right where Haruma is. But Shin, his whole punch gets caught by Haruma, despite what just happened to him.
What?
Even if the floor becomes a wall, that's not a problem if I can do ice climbing.
So, Haruma kept his balance by jabbing his hand into the fountain. Mind you, the fountain was flash frozen by this hydrogen grenade. And in order to keep himself balanced, he jabbed his hand into the ice of the fountain to keep himself steady so he could block Shin.
It didn't work.
Get back! And before Shin can say get back, Haruma proceeds to break Shin's hand. He just mind you, he's holding his hand and he just breaks it in his grip. He just breaks it. And it just shows Shin's fingers bent in the wrong direction, and he's just holding it screaming.
That Nekodamashi really worked.
Nekodamashi is a sumo technique where one fighter claps his hands in front of the other in order to distract them. And it just cuts to Haruma rubbing blood off of his ear using his shoulder.
I can't walk forward in a straight line.
And while Shin is on the ground with a broken hand,
I need to stop him, or else Mr. Sakamoto will.
And then while it looks like Haruma's about to kill Shin with like a palm thrust, Shin just goes,
Stop. Stop!
And he goes, stop, and then all of a sudden, Haruma No! Wait! No! No! Did Shin just stop Haruma? Did he just telepathically stop him? Did he just freeze him? He just goes stop in his head, and then Haruma finds himself frozen. He's shocked because his eyes are genuinely open right now.
What's this? My body.
I don't know what happened, but now's my chance.
And then Shin, taking his more available hand, the only hand that's available, he manages to land the decisive blow on Haruma and just decks him directly in the face. And that's the end of chapter 158. Yo, did he just use telepathic suggestion? Or telepathic manipulation? Did his ESP come back? Did his ESP just evolve? Instead of just being able to read people's minds, he's able to make people do things? This is the first instance of it. Yo, his ESP just evolved! That's the end of chapter 158. Onwards to chapter 159. We are almost there. We're almost done with this volume. Days 159. The final attack. And it shows Shin hitting Haruma and sending him flying with a big old indent in Haruma's face from the impact. And Hanuma is sent flying. And Shin is lying on the ground as Hanuma is twitching.
It's over. That was all I had. My whole body hurts. I can barely breathe. Please, please, please don't get up. I just can't.
But Hanuma's eyes open. His eyes open, and then he just sits up. And Shin is looking at Hanuma, unable to move. And Hanuma just walks up to him.
That was impressive, kid. What was that at the end? My whole body froze up for a moment. What did you do to me?
If you're gonna kill me, hurry up and do it.
Let me ask a different question. Why did you choose to send me flying to a spot with no weapons?
Yo, so the spot he sent Hanuma flying was the only spot that didn't have bladed weapons sticking in it.
Our goal isn't to kill you guys. It's to stop X.
I see.
And then Hanuma walks away.
Where are you going?
To our boss.
But I'm still alive.
You're just alive. You're not a threat. I don't have time to waste on you.
Wait!
I was the first to leave the ring. I lost at sumo. I'm upset enough that I'd love to kill you, but to mess with you after the match is done would be a violation of my killing sportsmanship. I'd be happy to have a rematch whenever. That is, if both of us are still alive.
And he conceded defeat. And then Hanuma is just walking. And while he's walking, he stops. And he stands there. Then beads of sweat starts to appear around his face. And then his eyes open. And then blood starts to come out of his mouth. And then even more blood.
That last attack was surprisingly powerful.
Wow, so he didn't just walk away. That Joker put on airs just to make it seem like he wasn't affected at all. And he just slumps next to a statue.
This is why I can't give up on sports. But in this state, Kumanomi will be pissed at me again.
And Hanuma is just laying there, bleeding, unable to do anything. Wow, so Shin not only won the sumo match, but he also really won the fight, because Hanuma can't do anything right now. Shin hurt him. Now we cut to the first floor in the east. First floor, East Wing, where we get Carolina Reaper versus Amane. And we get another fire blast from Carolina Reaper.
Hot! Done it, that little punk.
And as he's saying that, he's thinking that to himself. It cuts to Amane jumping over him and slashing through him once again.
You and your little scratches. Did you use that to cut off my brother's arm? You're the ones who messed with the JCC first.
And then Carolina Reaper jumps up in the air and creates like this big old ring of fire, not akin to that you would see in Black Myth Wukong, but this one's a much bigger ring, like the Great Shell, the Shell of the Great Sage level big.
I'm trapped. Did you know that torture is actually all about the time you spend anticipating the pain?
And as Carolina Reaper is musing on this, Amane's right above him, and then Reaper breathes in and fires like a quick-range fire-style fireball jutsu directly in front of Amane, and Amane gets hit by it.
So fast. Let's take our time and enjoy this.
As he breathes in order to let out some more fire, then all of a sudden, a wall in front of Amane blows open, between Amane. I'm trying to make sense of what happened. A wall bursts open in front of Amane between him and Reaper, with him going, "What?" Just when it was getting good. And it's Shishiba. It's Shishiba, who just walks in with a... How many hammers does this dude carry on the regular? He's just there with his hammer again. Mr. Shishiba?
So, you know who I am?
Yes, I remember you were always with my dad.
You're 14 now. You go to school?
I'm on a leave of absence.
You should be going to school. See what happens if you don't?
All these notifications popping up.
You should be going to school. See what happens if you don't?
Huh? And then Kumanomi just lands directly in front of him.
Carolina, you messing with that little kid?
Yo, Kumanomi, looks like old Longhair messed you up pretty good. You can't battle with your arm like that.
Yeah, Shishiba messed up her arm. It's unknown if she can still use electromagnetism right here at the moment.
All men are such scum.
But it shows like a suit of armor in the distance starting to rattle around. I think she can still use it.
Huh?
And she takes a piece of metallic samurai armor and she replaces the protective parts that she's missing, and it all latches onto her, moderately destroyed arm, including numerous other things to give her like a brand new battle armored gauntlet. And she now has, what is that, an axe? Halberd? It looks like a halberd. She's got a halberd in her hands now.
Don't slow me down, pervert.
Who you calling pervert, loser?
And this is both Kumanomi and Carolina saying this to each other. Then we get Shishiba.
Don't go up to be like that.
Which one?
Both.
And that is the end of chapter 159. Onwards to chapter 160. Had to double check. Oh, we're almost done. It's actually to 161. So after this one, we got one more chapter, and then this whole entire session for Sakamoto Days is over. Ooh, and we get a cover page with Shishiba. Days 160, like my master.
Don't slow me down, pervert.
Drop dead. Drop dead. Amane.
He knows my name.
You have no reason to fight them. You should get out of here. Not on my watch. That little punk cut off my brother's arm. At the very least, I'm gonna sever all his limbs.
And Carolina Reaper is getting mad and upset because, Amane is the one who took that arm off.
Really? You little troublemaker.
Why does he look happy? Shishiba's actually smiling. Shishiba's smiling. Shishiba is smiling.
Don't treat me like a kid. It looks like this will be too much for you to handle alone. We should take them on together. Who do you think you're talking to?
And all of a sudden, Kumanomi jumps up with her... It's a battle axe. Jumps up with her battle axe and goes to intercept Shishiba. But the battle axe is then shattered on Shishiba's adamantium hammers, apparently. Well, I won't say adamantium hammers because his other hammer got chipped and adamantium does not break. But after seeing those shards, he's surprised to see that Kumanomi is manipulating those shards in order to use it into handheld bullets.
She's pulling in shards of the broken axe.
And Kumanomi is... Yeah, she's pulling in those shards. After they were knocked around, I thought this panel made me think that she shot them towards Shishiba, but no, she pulled in all those shards. Clearly, she pulled it in because he said so. But she pulls in all of those shards to make like an additional piece on top of her gauntlet, and then proceeds to just haymaker Shishiba through a pillar, sending him flying across the room. Shishiba, with his impeccable agility and reaction time, hooks onto another pillar with the claw of his hammer, allowing him to skid back into place, causing him to launch directly onto Kumanomi. And she's just glaring at him as she's defending herself with her big old arm gauntlet now. Because it's not just like regular size in comparison to her size. It is literally just a big old hulking arm. Think Krieg when he turns into like a one-armed psycho in Borderlands 2. It's kind of like that. And he just goes... Tch. And then it cuts to Carolina Reaper versus Amane.
Let's continue the torture.
And it shows that Reaper has a handheld blowtorch amongst, painted fingernails.
What is that? A blowtorch? No.
Because Reaper is either inhaling it. He's either inhaling it or he's exhaling. Yeah, he's blowing into like a separate pipe, and it's causing flames to come out of the blowtorch itself.
This should be perfect for making the fun last a while.
And fire just comes out of the blowtorch because he's breathing. This dude can breathe methane gas, flammable methane gas, and he's blowing into this blowtorch to make a handheld blowtorch he can use. It's a gas saber. Think Caesar's gas saber from One Piece. It's literally just a handheld sword made of fire for Reaper.
A gas saber! It can sever and cauterize simultaneously. I've seen it before in the weapons department. It uses
acetylene. I want to say acetylene. Yeah,
it uses acetylene and pure oxygen to create immense firepower that can cut through steel. So that freak can produce the right gases in his body? So if I cut the tube...
And Amane goes and he blitzes Carolina Reaper and hits him across the back, but finds that his 4-sectional staff has been severed all of a sudden.
My 4-section staff! Do you know how it feels to have your body sliced by fire?
And then Carolina Reaper, who has had bandages over his eyes the entire time ever since his introduction, takes them off, and we see a heavily burned face, like a heavily burned upper part of his body, upper part of his head, amidst blood-stained eyes.
Do you know how it feels to have your body sliced by fire? Pain beyond your wildest imagination. Amane!
You think you have time to look away?
Nah. I don't have time for you at all.
And while Shishiba is just casually saying this, Kumanomi has magnetized a knife by her foot and proceeds to try and kick it at Shishiba, who just blocks it with his hammer again. This dude is broken with these hammers. And so are Bones when he has hammers.
Can't something be done about that magnet?
It's so hot. That idiot's overdoing it.
And, Kumanomi is just fanning herself because ain't nobody tell her to wear like a big old leathery jacket indoors while you're fighting next to a teammate that uses fire on the regular. Ain't nobody tell you to wear all that. But it cuts back to Amane, who's like dodging away from Reaper, who's slicing up the entire environment with his gas saber.
Quit running all over the place. That's no fun. Should be around now.
You idiot! Did you really think I was just running around?
What?
You sure you want to get this heated? And it shows Kumanomi standing there, but then all of a sudden, the armor that she made for herself starts to fall away from her arm, much to the surprise of Shishiba and Kumanomi.
What? My magnetism!
Magnetic materials, like steel, lose their magnetism the hotter they get. The temperature at which all magnetism is lost. Hold on, let me zoom in here so I can read this fully. Magnetic materials like steel lose their magnetism the hotter they get. The temperature at which all magnetism is lost is called the Curie point, or Curie point. Magnets are susceptible to heat. Even an electromagnet loses its magnetism when heated above the Curie point. And then Shishiba takes this opportunity to hook directly into Kumanomi's exposed metal arm.
Uh-oh.
And slams her directly into the ground with enough force to dent in the ground itself. And then, while that's happening, much to Kumanomi's shock, Shishiba wastes no time to kick her directly into a far-off wall. He just casually just curb kicks her in another direction.
That little punk had this all planned out. You die too.
And Shishiba proceeds to jump in the air and then knock away Carolina Reaper.
You're smart, kid. Not like that last guy.
Wow. As soon as there was an opening without missing a beat. Was this guy really my dad's right-hand man?
Let's wrap this up.
Mr. Shishiba? There's something I want to ask you while I can.
What is it?
Do you know where my dad is now? And then Shishiba, his eyes are kind of open and then they kind of lower.
Right. There's something I need to tell you about your dad. I killed Satoru Yotsumura.
And Amane is just standing there, wide-eyed. And that's the end of chapter 160. Onwards to chapter 161. Just to make sure that it only goes to chapter 161. Just to make sure that I'm reading correctly. Yep, 161. Okay, just double checking, just 161. Let me get back to the stream. There we go. I'm pressing different tabs. Days 161, Shark.
I killed Satoru Yotsumura.
What? Oh. I see. My dad's gone. Why? Why did you kill him?
Because it was my job.
Your job? But you and my dad were close. My dad really trusted you. So then why? What did my dad do? Why'd you have to kill him?
I can't tell you. It's classified.
I can't just swallow that. You owe me an explanation.
Perhaps, but I can't tell you.
You. I get that you didn't just kill my dad on a whim. I'm an assassin's son. At this point, I'm not going to blame you, but I want to know why. There must be some reason the JAA higher-ups...
Amane, don't ask me about this, please.
And then it comes back to Shishiba, Yotsumura speaking to him.
Shishiba, don't ask me about this, please. I told you, don't get to know your enemy too well. I get it now. Back then, Mr. Yotsumura was trying to protect me.
And then it shows Carolina Reaper, who's trying his absolute best to launch towards Amane, because his back is turned, and in an instant, Shishiba embeds his hammer directly into Carolina Reaper's head, while he also gets cut by the gas saber of Carolina Reaper. Gah!
Son of a...
And while that happens, Shishiba's still standing there, but then we see a line, like a big old gash right through Shishiba's midsection. And then Shishiba falls down, bleeding out of the side. Why'd you do that? Are you trying to atone for what you did?
Good question. Hard to say. Run, Amane.
His wound is deep. If I leave him...
Darn it, you idiots! You're going to die painful deaths. Your family and friends, your pets and your neighbors too. In a small dark room, I'll carve you up into little pieces while you're still alive.
And while Carolina Reaper is screaming this, above Amane, Kumanomi lands directly behind him with an angry look on her face. And while Amane swings back around... all of a sudden, while Kumanomi is preparing to run towards Amane, the blade, a circular blade, comes up right through the floor. And then it slices a line between Kumanomi and Amane, causing her to jump out of the way. And then it sinks into the ground. And then all of a sudden, it rapidly cuts underneath Carolina Reaper.
Watch out, Kumanomi! There's someone down there!
And he immediately falls into the hole created by this circular blade underneath. Kind of cartoonishly when you think about it. And there's just a clatter inside the hole. Yo! Oh my goodness, this lady scares me! I told you this lady scares me, and she still does. She still does. This woman scares me. We just hear a clatter from inside the darkness of the hole. Then all of a sudden, a fountain of blood and Carolina Reaper body parts just flies into the air everywhere. Carolina Reaper's dead. And then a hand comes up out of the hole. And very, what is her name? Sadako? What is the name of that one girl from the ring? Very ring-like. Miss Osaragi crawls out of the hole, much to the shock of Amane and Kumanomi. And then they give Miss Osaragi like this cutesy little blank, emotionless face. And Shishiba's laying on his side going,
Osaragi.
Poor Mr. Shishiba. Hang on a minute. I'll be right back. Don't die.
And then it cuts to, then she's, mind you, she was kneeling right next to Shishiba. All of a sudden, Amane has a hand around his throat in an instant, and he can't move.
Did you do this to Mr. Shishiba?
And then it cuts to Kumanomi, who's just going like,
What's with this chick?
and then Shishiba knows what's about to happen, as he can only think,
Uh-oh. She's beast. Osaragi. No.
Ready to die?
and she's squeezing Amane, not knowing that it was Kumanomi and them who did all this. Mind you, she already killed the person that injured Shishiba. Kumanomi's about to get it. Oh, I want it to be Monday. I want it to be the next Monday already. Because Osaragi's about to go off. I am scared of this woman. Osaragi's about to go off. Have we ever seen Miss Osaragi angry before? She's taken every single fight in stride. Yet this is the one where we get a murderous look on her face, including with an anger vein shadowed over eyes. It's not the regular look she usually has. She's upset, she's angry, and she's out for blood. I feel like an angry Osaragi might be the most terrifying individual I've seen in the series thus far. But that's going on right now, as she's apparently thinking that Amane is the one who did that to Mr. Shishiba.
Ready to die?
And then we just cut to
In the storage vault below the museum.
back with Nagumo after he's just stabbed Uzuki.
The laceration should have penetrated his heart. Why didn't he die? All of you look like such dopes, unlike a certain fatso we know. You haven't changed one bit, Nagumo. How boring.
And it shows Uzuki's face, and his whole face and countenance has changed to that of Rion Akao. And Nagumo's eyes get beady as he goes,
Akao?
And to be continued. That's the end of chapter 161. Oh my goodness, this whole volume just got me hyped. This was a very good volume! Okay, so Gaku has been incredibly bodied. He's barely alive. Because Nagumo fooled us all into thinking that he was beaten by Gaku, but Nagumo pulled a slicky and has now stabbed Uzuki, which has caused the Rion personality to rise up in him. Then we get Haruma, who went up against Shin, and though Shin's hand have basically... Hold on, give me a sec, Medela, give me a sec. Now that Shin's hand, his one hand is broken, the other one was enough to bring down Haruma. So Hanuma's out of the picture. Then we get Carolina Reaper. Dude talking about like, oh, you sliced off my little brother's hand. I'm gonna butcher all of you, your family, your friends, your pets, and carve you up into nice little bloody chunks, and then there'll be nothing left of you anymore. And while he manages to injure Shishiba injures him. Then Osaragi, who has currently gotten over her fear of ghosts and has left the restroom hiding in there, has just completely and instantly disposed of Carolina Reaper, just spraying his limbs all out. It's like a Looney Tunes cartoon if it was dark. Well, darker. He gets the floor cut out underneath it, and mind you, they're still on an upper floor, which means that Osaragi pulled him to a lower floor, cut him up, and then threw his limbs and what was left of his body back up to the above floor from a lower floor underneath. And she just climbs up like she's just straight out of the ring. 7 days. And just climbs out. And then instantly thinks that Amane is the one who injured Shishiba, while Kumanomi is just wondering what's going on. And now Osaragi is in full-on rage mode. If Shishiba does not say anything to save Amane's life, he's dead instantly. But when Osaragi turns her attention to Kumanomi, oh my goodness, this ought to be an interesting fight. And now we have and that's pretty much everything that really happened, because I've already mentioned Nagumo stabbing into Uzuki, and that's called the Rion personality to arise. So that's what's happened so far. This was an extremely solid volume. I love this volume. Let me tell you why. Because not only was the pacing very well done, not only were the fights very well done, but the art. The art was extremely well done. I have to say the best shot out of this entire volume was the shot of Kumanomi calling an entire crane truck through the wall, and the amount of detail that went into illustrating it breaking through the museum wall. I especially love that panel above all the other ones in this entire volume. I thought it was very well done. But to answer your question, Medela, random question, now that you've read all 18 volumes, what are my favorite volume covers? Okay, so let me do this. Let's see. Sakamoto Days Gallery. Let's see here. The first volume cover I love because it shows you just what you're getting into. An assassin who is also like a convenience store dude. Volume 5 with Miss Osaragi and her circular saw. I have to say, Volume 9 with Toromaru and her battle axe rifle because of the way the colors contrast with each other. Volume 10 with Uzuki with the almost pure white background. Volume 15 with Kumanomi and her nail gun finger position. Volume 16 with Kamihate and his anti-material rifle. And those are my favorite, because the ones after that, volume 17 and 18, one is Mafuyu and his shoe blades, and then 18 is of Haruma jumping in the air, preparing to shot put somebody's body completely off. Those are my favorite volumes. Volume 1, Volume 5, Volume 9, Volume 10, Volume 15, and Volume 16. Of all the covers that I really like, I like those. But this was a very well done this was a very well done volume, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So hold on, let me see here. So we just had volume 18, volume 19. Okay. So volume 18 is pretty much the latest one, and the other ones haven't been turned. The other ones haven't been turned into volumes yet. So I've pretty much caught up with all volumes. The ones that are not in a tankobon volume format are all the way from 162 to 185. So I am still going to do it in like a volume format. So since today's was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold on, let me do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Days 171. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Days 181, and then 4 more volumes after that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I'll do days 162 all the way to days 170. And then another one will be days 171 all the way to days 179. And then the final reading will be days 180 all the way into the most recent chapter. 3 more sessions. We're almost done. Sick. Can't wait for the next Monday. Yeah. I already got it lined up, which means that I can't, these sessions will no longer be called volumes anymore. They will now just be the remaining chapters I have to catch up with, which will be, next week's will be 162 all the way to 170. Yeah, 162 all the way down to 170. Then 171 all the way to 179, and then days 180 all the way to the most recent chapter that is released. Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost fully caught up with Sakamoto Days. I've been reading this series for like, I want to say, 2 months? I want to say a month, maybe 2 months. And I've been enjoying it. I am so glad you guys have turned me on to this series. Can't wait for next Monday, because I can't wait to see what happens going forward. I'm almost caught up. We're almost there. Then Sakamoto Days will be moved to Sundays to coincide with my regular Sunday reactions, since, you know, Jujutsu and My Hero are already over and done with. Sakamoto Days will join One Piece as the other manga I read on Sundays going forward once all is said and done. So I can't wait for those days. But thank you everyone for tuning in. Whether this was your first time watching or you're just here to watch me react to these chapters of Sakamoto Days, thank you for being here. It really does mean the world to me. And this channel is, you know, a lot brighter because you showed up today. So thank you for everything you've ever done for me. But I'm done for today. All I can say to everyone here, from Adela to Calzone to Killer Bean to Hybrid to whoever's currently watching and made it here to the end, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples.